Our next speaker is Mr. David Cagigal. David is the Chief Information Officer for Wisconsin's Department of Administration. As the CIO, he also serves as Division Administrator for the Division of Enterprise Technology, DET. Mr. Cagigal is a seasoned executive with over 25 years of experience in information technology, visioning, strategic planning, and management. Mr. Cagigal has held executive IT positions at a number of companies: Alliant Energy, DeVry University, DePaul University, Maytag, and Amoco. So with no further ado, David, if you'd come on up.
Thank you for the kind introduction, General McCoy. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Good morning. I hope that my journey into the valley of despair will end with a cheerful response from all of you that we can do a lot together. Every speaker that talks about cybersecurity has to underscore the reality and the threat and the seriousness of everything that we have to deal with. But one thing that you should take away from Will or from me or from any other speakers is that we're begging, pleading, and asking everybody to join forces to combat these issues. They range from a number of issues that will affect us as an organization and you personally as a citizen, as a person who uses a computer in the network. So let me go through what we are doing here at the state of Wisconsin and give you some demographic information, plus or minus a few, 5.7 million residents in the state of Wisconsin, including little bitty children and older adults. 72 counties, two big ones of Dane and Milwaukee that have a substantial number of people and network capabilities and commerce in those, but the other 70 should not be neglected. They are the area of focus for the state of Wisconsin. 2,000 cities, towns, and villages, 35,000 employees, and I think it's a little bit more than that. 260,000 that are employed trust fund participants, people that have worked for the state in the past and are annuitants. 42 million in our assets of consolidated center, hardware, software, and related assets. It's hard to put a value on all the data that we have for you. I'm assuming most of you, if not all of you, live in the state of Wisconsin, and that we have records on you that you have given us, and the value of that is priceless. Over 1,000 applications, and I clearly believe that's understated. I have around 200, 300 applications in the enterprise portfolio that I'm responsible for, but there are 30 IT directors, one that reports to Ed Wall here, Kurt Taylor. There's 30 of them that are embedded in their respective departments and agencies that we collaborate with quite a bit. My responsibilities as the Chief Information Officer is to participate in the Information Technology Executive Steering Committee. It's an organization that was created in the summer of 2012. I joined the state of Wisconsin the fourth quarter of 2012. There are 9 deputies and assistant deputies on that committee, including myself. I make number 10. And we have been meeting every Monday for about an hour and a half, every Monday, talking about IT issues. It is truly remarkable from all my experiences in IT to have that level of commitment. The deputies and assistant deputies are like chief operating officers in the respective departments, executive cabinet members. Everybody reports to the deputy, and I believe the secretary has one direct report, the deputy. So the secretaries are externally facing, and the chief operating officer has really got the tactical execution piece of that. So to afford them to attend this meeting every Monday is a demonstration of their commitment to the IT investments and IT direction, IT strategies. That is a message that I'm glad to work with my IT directors as a peer group, that we all understand the commitment from the state of Wisconsin to the investment in technology and where it's going. Cyber Working Group, I chair that for the state of Wisconsin, along with members of law enforcement and fusion centers and other security professionals. including the University of Wisconsin. Information Technology Directors Council, that's the group that I talked about earlier, 30 IT directors that represent their respective departments. There's a number of things that we've started over the last 2 years. Too many to mention here. I'll go through them very quickly. The top 5 are implementing an ERP, PeopleSoft, Oracle PeopleSoft product, standing that up next year after a 2-year planning effort and fit gap analysis and making sure that we have the ability to implement that. Broadband expansion. Our vision, our aspirations is to get everyone connected within the state of Wisconsin, a connected state to address the priorities of the governor. That is to bring jobs and businesses to Wisconsin, especially if they're internet sensitive, to be able to locate anywhere, any county besides Dane and Milwaukee, and to find a place in which they can operate. Workforce development, reform education, lean government, and improve our infrastructure. All of those are affected by broadband. Our ability to connect. All libraries will be connected in the state of Wisconsin by November, by next month. 360 libraries will be connected next year. Hopefully all that will address the remaining schools. About half our schools have fiber to the door. I truly believe they need a gigabit of service to be able to do the education reform and access all the content that they have in their internet that they will be using if they're not using already. So when you talk about broadband, our second initiative, you drag in that the cybersecurity concerns. Now that we're going to connect all these state offices and schools and facilities, you bring the vulnerabilities with you. So while we work real hard with our partners to lay the fiber and get that to the door and increase the bandwidth, we have to be sure that it's protected, that it's encrypted where needed, and that we make sure that everyone is safe. The hygiene is where it needs to be if we're going to start ramping up our use of the internet and everything that's available in the cloud. There's also the e-government, or the modernization of our portals. We stood up at wisconsin.gov a few months ago. Looks great, looks a lot different than it did before. Many of our portals are 1.0, probably the same version that it was when the internet was invented and we posted up a portal, and hasn't done much more than that. But we're marching through the state, and we're going to be modernizing all that for the sake of simplicity, be able to navigate, be able to give the information you need, to cluster some of the things. For instance, One-Stop Business portal that we have initiated, allowing new businesses to come to the state of Wisconsin without multiple IDs and passwords for every site they need to visit. We can do that through single sign-on. We'd hope to be able to develop some transparency about the expenditure for state resources. We also are consolidating all the data centers. We actually completed that in January. So we only have one data center in the state of Wisconsin. And so now we have this massive organization that we can protect, we can focus on, and we can consistently lifecycle management the hardware assets, protect the data, and make sure, as Governor Walker said, that we keep the bad email out. 95, 96% of that email coming in every day is bad, and we can only use about 4% of that. So we've got a lot of defenses that help us with that. So that's about it across the cybersecurity. Obviously, is the one that I wanted to leave for the last, and segue into my other slides. This is our cybersecurity vision. Take an enterprise approach to preserving the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of state and residents' data through the innovative use of the right people, processes, and technologies. Our mission is to enable the state of Wisconsin to achieve its business objectives by maintaining an appropriate level of information security risks, promotes innovation, the effective use and adoption of information and information technologies, and foster the citizens' engagement and e-commerce. Through the help of Bill Nash, Bill, will you stand up? Bill's our Chief Information Security Officer. He took his responsibilities on in August, and shortly thereafter, within 90 days, Bill was able to put together our strategy, our roadmap, and our framework for us to proceed into the future. Thanks very much, Bill. He also identified in that program, in that strategy, 100 initiatives, more than 100. I think there were closer to 200, but we can only address a few at a time. We're working through the prioritization with the IT ESC committee and looking at coordinating that with a focus on the NIST framework, the 2014 NIST framework, be able to identify what is it that we're supposed to be protecting. And frankly, it's the Wisconsinites' data and all the assets that surround that. Identify that, enumerate that, and then understand how do we protect that with all the technologies and tools that we have available to us. Once you've done that, you have to then begin looking at it every second of the day, every day of the week, every month, every year. Make sure that we are detecting any intrusions, any attempt to get in, whether it's a port scan or whether it's an FTP attack, much like Will talked about. What are we doing to detect and identify those intrusions? And as many of you know, and you've read a lot of articles, we spend a lot of money on prevention. We buy a lot of software, and I think if you do a deeper dive in the target area, they knew they were being hacked. They knew things were happening. They did not respond. And what happened at the White House not too long ago with Secret Service, sometimes the day-to-day activities paralyze us into routine, and we don't know how to respond when it actually happens. So I'm proud to say that we're working together with Homeland Security Council, the National Guard, and looking at what we can do in a team effort, and also bringing in a lot of the private sector to help us. What would we do in the event? We're going to be participants in Grid X3, another exercise to be able to demonstrate the fact that this is what we need to do. How do you escalate responsibilities? How do you define responsibilities? Where's the transfer of control? That's very important on how our ability to respond. And once the event has occurred, how do we recover from that? This is something that is being adopted across the country, the NISC framework. Communicate, engage, and involve. I mentioned ITESC earlier. I chair the Cyber Working Group. I mentioned also the IT Directors Council, and we have security officers embedded in a few of the departments and agencies. Administrative Officer Council, I had not mentioned that earlier, but these are the folks that are embedded in each one of the departments. We meet with them monthly, and I'm very close, joined at the hip with Bruce Moss, the CIO at the University of Wisconsin here in Madison, as well as what that implies into the other extensions and campuses. Also work with Sasi Palais and with Warner Gade, and I believe Elaine is here from UW Health. I see Elaine in the back. We work with Jocelyn DeWitt and Robert Stewart and Elaine. We collaborate. We need to learn from each other. We communicate that among ourselves. Managed security services. We issued the RFP, the RFI-RFP last year. We've closed the deal. We got a contract with IBM. They're going to assist us with log, network, security event monitoring and correlation, vulnerability management, and I think Mark Ronnie's here. Where's Mark? There's Mark from IBM. Largely responsible in a partnership with them to be able to help for them to help us. There's no way that we could afford the skill and the talent that IBM employs globally in terms of these efforts. There's no way that we have the capacity, the money to staff what we need to be able to ensure our protection. We need partners like IBM and others who are advising us through the quarterly business reviews. This is what we're doing to protect the equipment or the technologies or the software that we're selling to you. This is what we're doing to do that completely together. Implementation is underway. We expect that to be live by the end of the year. Be able to discover, analyze, report, protect, and report. Look forward to that engagement, Ronnie, Mark. Training. We are advocating. Last year, I stood up at the governor's cabinet meeting, and I said we need to train everybody in 2013. And I thought because I said that, it would get done. We got 50% of the way through. This year, we're hoping for 60, 70, 80%. This is not easy. It's trying to grab somebody's attention who's busy at work and have them think for a moment. This year, we're advocating 11 videos, approximately 40 minutes with some questions behind that. Monthly status reporting and support for multiple learning systems as well as single sign-on is what we are implementing with that. Next year, in 15, we're going to look at it again, and we'll increase that percentage, that take rate every year. One thing that I really plead with the state employees is to don't do it for me, don't do it for the governor, don't do it for your boss. Take these helpful hints and practice them at home. Personal computing. There's no difference between the computer in your office and the computer at home. The vulnerabilities are the same. The hackers don't care who you are or where you are when they want something. They want your credit card, they want your social security number, they want somebody else's information. They're after anything and everything that they can get their hands on. Building security professionals, working with Michigan. You'll hear from Dan Lorman soon. He's from the state of Michigan as a resident and used to be there for 17 years as their CISO, working with Merit, online instructor training classes. We've already had 2 taken that we've been afforded not only my staff, but the other department staff. Certified professional ethical hacker was in May. Certified penetration testing engineer was in September. And this was afforded to us by the Homeland Security grant. Endpoint hardening. So much like I start to feel really confident about the castle and the moat around it, and we've protected our data center, the one and only, and we've got a second one that we're building here and we're leasing here in Milwaukee, that we'd like to be able to move our assets to the second facility and have that all protected and backed up and recoverable. But at the end of the day, there's more than 40,000 units that are out connecting to the network every day from every county in the state of Wisconsin, whether it's a tower, a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone, as Will said. I wish I could stand here and tell you that we have 34,182 devices connected. I have no idea how many things get connected to the network every day. But we're starting to get after that. So we've got 12 agencies working together to understand how are we going to do that. We're going to advocate a standard lifecycle management of that equipment so that it has a standard image on it and it has the right security on it and that we can detect it when you come on to the network. So my aspiration, not tomorrow, not next year, sometime in the future, is that when you get that network splash screen asking you for your ID and your password, you're not going to get it unless the tool detects that you're operating from a device that's secured. There are tools and technologies that are able to do that. They will detect that first, and if you have the right patching on it, the right operating system, the right browser level, the right Java, whatever we have put into that standard image, you will be given the privilege to sign on to the network. So that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and it's going to cost a lot of money, but you show me another way to be able to protect us and the assets that we are obligated to do, and I'll gladly listen. But that's where we're headed, and that's how secure we need to be. Call to action. This is an NGA list where there's governance, risk management, continuous assessments, ensuring the state complies with the current security methodologies and business disciplines in cybersecurity, and creating a culture of risk assessment. This risk issue is prevailing in our lives today. Understanding where we are in terms of assessing the risk and how much will it cost to protect the assets that we've got. Just remember the big numbers that Will put up there and all the credit reports that had to be issued and the millions of dollars. South Carolina was standing at this podium last year telling you what one finger, one click did to them. When he was standing here, it was $30 million. Today, the number is over $100 million. They have not recovered. They have not recovered. 2 years later, they have not recovered from that. So do you want to go down that road, or do you want to spend a few bucks in terms of prevention and the ability to respond? Cyber hygiene, this is what Will had talked about earlier. We are committed. I'd like to stand here and tell you that we have 34,182 devices. I'd like to stand here next year and confidently tell you how many devices are connected to the network. I might be off a few, but at least I'll know I'm in the ballpark. Be able to configure and make sure that through identity access management, you only have the right to access a system that's pertinent to your job. Be able to control that image that's deployed and patch. Every Tuesday, Microsoft sends out patches, I think once a month. Cisco does them on Thursdays. They send them. Do we patch? And I can assure you that I think many of our IT directors would admit we patch some. But we got to get stronger at that, and there's got to be a lot of rigor behind that. I don't know that there's anybody here from Alliant Energy who was here last year, but that's where I used to work. Dave, good to see you. And there was our NERC ICP, Critical Infrastructure Protection, obligated us to track all those patches, obligated to us. I think the utility industries are really showing us the way of what the rigor and the benefit can be for us. Thanks for attending, Dave. Cyber Resilience Review. This is a way of performing a self-assessment, one that's certainly advocated by Homeland Security, where we can go ahead and assess our current situation on those hygiene factors. And ultimately, we'll be producing this dashboard for the count, the control, the configure, and the patch. We had a discussion at this, Homeland Security, and while I highlighted the concern that I would have to enumerate more than 50 departments on this dashboard, the reds would become targets. So we're not ever going to do that. The most we'll ever show anyone is the aggregate view. And even then, this is a bit of a risk to show this publicly. If we show the redness or the weaknesses, we become targets. And the general also said, don't put the green ones up there either, because we're boasting that we're that good. Try and come after us. I don't want to do that either. So we'll never do that at the department level, but we might even be careful about what Wisconsin wants to do with this information. While I'm on that topic, when we have an incident, we've had some minor ones, we write an after-action report or an SOS, and what do? We put them in an email to our people that we think we need to know. I was talking to Stephanie Marquis, our Public Information Officer, and she says, that's not a good idea. Do you know where that email goes? Do you know who it gets routed to? And do you have full control of that? And I said, no. So she's asking that all the after-action reports and SOSs be posted to a secured site. We let people know that they're there, and you can go get them. So we're going to stop attaching them to emails. You have to be careful with this information. I vividly remember the NTP, the Network Time Protocol alert that we got from MSISEC and from other agencies. Watch out. Go make sure you know where they are and that they're patched, or shut them down if they're not needed. Well, all the bad actors were getting the same alerts, and that we saw an escalation of the NTP attacks as a result of that. We've got to learn from a strong desire to share, but share with who, and how can we do that in a secure manner. Homeland Security initiatives. We're working with the Homeland Security grant to be able to broaden our breadth and scope and talent. Grant provides 50% cost share for us to be able to do some training and establish some organizations in Madison, Milwaukee, and Wausau. Build a small team so that, again, as I emphasize, our ability to respond. Wisconsin Cyber Annex, Brian Satula had to leave here, but working very closely with him. He and I sit next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, and we are intimately involved in trying to raise the cyber response to the proficiency that he has. When there's a tornado, snowstorm, or in any event, Brian's on the spot. He knows exactly what the roles and responsibilities are. He knows how to escalate, knows how to engage the appropriate authorities at the appropriate time. I can't confidently say that today. So we are trying to match our ability to respond with the physical side. Physical and cyber side need to come together and to be equally proficient. I'm happy to work with Brian in that effort. This is an area, it's next to my last slide here, cyber insurance. The thrust of this is I've already determined that the cyber insurance will only cover a data breach. So there was an insurance company local here a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that had a virus, and they had to go to bare metal, recover everything, all the labor, all the equipment, nothing to do with the data breach, but they just had to recover millions and millions of dollars. This kind of attitude would not cover that kind of an incident. But if you remember JP Morgan, Home Depot, Target, that insurance policy would cover a breach. So the insurance broker walks in and said, what kind of controls do you have in place? Are you talking to me about my controls, or are you talking about your controls as an insurance provider? So we need to sync that up. We are going through this process of having them come in to show us what they think a control is, and then we'll compare them to our controls. And frankly, some of them are asking for our controls, because it's a very immature industry thus far. And so you know as well as I do, weak on controls, high on premiums. Strong on controls, low on premiums. That's the insurance game. So that's basically what we're trying to do here. Okay, everybody understands what I said. Everybody understands what Will said. Everybody understands why we're here. Going through the valley of despair, but we want to end on a high note that we can do this. We can do this together. And I'm going to be happy about working with all of you. Thank you very much.